That is great. Well, what I'm going to turn off my
Welcome to the League of Women Voters of Snohomish County Forum for candidates for Port of Everett Commissioner, District 2. I'm Vicki Roberts-Gassler, member and past president of our league. This forum is being live streamed to our league YouTube channel. To those in the virtual space, thank you for joining us. We refer to these primary forums as virtual doorbelling. We will ask a short series of questions, the kind of questions you might ask of a candidate who came to your door. Our questions are designed to give you a clear idea of each candidate's experience and the issues they believe it is important to address. A recording of the forum will be available on this same YouTube channel for later viewing. Let me provide some background for the position. Port District Commissioners encourage economic development throughout the county, manage the port, extensive real estate and rural properties, make decisions affecting the environment and neighborhoods, set the budget, and use taxation powers. Candidates for Port of Everett Commissioner District 2 are Ken Heaton and Tom Stiger. Bob Champion and Alfred Favre are also running but not participating in this forum. The league thanks all the candidates for running for office, for their willingness to serve the community if elected, and for participating in this forum. It is the policy of the league to be nonpartisan. Therefore, we neither endorse nor oppose candidates or parties. We do take positions on issues which we have studied and on which we have reached consensus. The rules for forum participation were sent ahead of time to all participants, and they have agreed to engage in respectful communication throughout the event. Let us briefly explain the question and answer period rules, and then we can begin. I will pose the questions and will clearly state the amount of time allowed for each answer. We are using a countdown timer visible to the candidates, and time limits on answers will be strictly enforced. I will change the starting order for each of the questions, alternating between the two candidates in order to ensure a fair sequence. The order for the first question will be Mr. Heaton and then Mr. Stiger. Let's begin. Candidates have 2 minutes to respond to this first question, starting with Mr. Heaton. The question is, what are the major issues you feel need to be addressed by this office? Please explain why you are focusing on these issues for 2 minutes.
Okay. So what I feel is a major issue here in Mukilteo District 2 is the development and maintenance of the areas, let's say, between the old ferry terminal, the old dock, and the Mount Baker terminal. So that encompasses all of Edgewater and then the areas adjacent to the new ferry terminal, as well as the Tulalip tribe's 2 acres, I believe it is. This is an area that myself and my neighbors and my friends enjoy to use. It is a major part of our waterfront. And, you know, I'm amazed at how well WSF, Washington State Ferries, did on the new ferry terminal. There is a lot of work that needs to be done on the other side, Edgewater and the old tank farm, that whole area. People use it. I like to walk along there myself, kayaking. A lot of people enjoy it. It needs to be better. It needs to be cleaned up. And I know it's in the works because I've looked at plans. I know there's an interim plan to make it into a park, and that's great. And I know that there is also a long-term plan for businesses and such. and everybody has different ideas. So one of the other issues that I'm concerned about would be parking and access to these areas. But we can make it good. We can have a balance between businesses, access parking, and bring in employment, bring in business, and make it a really great place.
Thank you. Mr. Stiger, same question.
Vicki, I can see the clock now, so it's on. So thank you.
Good.
Well, just a little bit of background information about the ports in general. In the state of Washington, there are 75 ports. Most of them are not on the water, not a seaport. They're primarily industrial parks and airports, but we have ports on Puget Sound, Grays Harbor, and along the Columbia River. And as far as important issues, I think there are a couple I'd like to comment on. One is port's primary vision and purpose is economic development and job growth. And we meet that vision or goal by having a shipping terminal, an international shipping terminal. And it consists of, excuse me, I'm going to put my glasses on here. 8 shipping berths, 125 acres of shipping terminal. We have the 3rd largest container port in the state of Washington. And most recently, we added the former Kimberly-Clark Scott Paper site as a cargo assembly area. So that is perhaps our greatest opportunity in the port, is to provide that kind of economic development and jobs. The other area, and we can talk about that, I think, a little later on, is the Mukilteo waterfront. And Ken did comment on that, so I'll follow up and comment on that at a later time. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidates will have 90 seconds each for the next 2 questions. Timer, please adjust the clock. Question number 2, beginning with Mr. Stiger, is what qualifications and experience make you a good choice to address these issues?
Well, as far as qualification and experience, I've served 2 terms on the commission, a total of 12 years. And during that time, I've served as the president of the commission for 4 years. And I have a long association with the port. I've longshored. I've was with the Everett Stevedoring Company. I've fished commercially and have had a small boat in the marina for many years. So that type of experience, I think, is certainly related to the port. In addition, I've been a school administrator for the Everett Public Schools for approximately 30 years. And at the same, since I've retired, a small business owner. We own a floor covering store in both Everett and Seattle. I might mention that in addition, the family has had an association with the waterfront for many years. The boaters, the recreational opportunities, and so on. So that's basically my experience. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Heaton, same question.
Okay, it was 90 seconds. Well, I have 20 years in the United States Coast Guard. I have 15 more as a civilian working for the Coast Guard in merchant mariner credentialing or licensing. So I have a very strong connection and working relationship with the maritime industry. And really what I'm looking for is to see and learn more about what's happening onshore. I'm very familiar with the needs of shipping, as Mr. Stiger commented, container ships, of course, the ferries, tug and tow, fishing vessels, and basically a myriad of maritime industry. So that's one of the things. I'll tell you, I will have a lot to learn, but I'm a quick learner. My familiarity is more with ships being underway and with crewing, primarily crewing of ships. So there is the other part that I want to be involved in. That's why I brought up the Mukilteo, Edgewater, and such. We want to be part of it. And like I said, even with Everett, it's amazing what's going on there. It's amazing what they've done. I want to be a part of that.
Thank you. Third question, beginning with Mr. Heaton, is councils, commissions, and boards are required to deliberate and make decisions in public and to hear from those whose ideas may differ. Please give us an example that demonstrates your ability to work in this way. You're muted. Come off mute.
All right, my apologies. Okay. Okay. So public speaking is part of my job. And often those are forums like with tug and tow or with passenger vessel folks. And you are giving them information, but you always get feedback, which you may or may not agree with. And certainly they don't always agree with it because they're talking to the regulatory body. But you learn to listen and you learn to take that input. You learn to have side conversations and such. Another example is my assistant and I working in collaboration with Coast Guard Sector Puget Sound and the Washington State Board of Pilotage Commissioners. And that was to create an information packet for people desiring to be pilots, federal pilots, pilots for the ferries, you name it. And in that, we don't always agree. We have to collaborate. And if I disagree with something and I think I have a better idea, and I don't always have the best idea, but I have some input, I make sure I can back that up with something. And often there's a compromise, but in the end, we always end up agreeing overall because together we've come up with a really good plan.
Thank you. Mr. Stiger.
Okay. The question deals with deliberate and making decisions in public. And the public has many opportunities to participate in port meetings and port forums and activities. The public meetings are the first and second Tuesday of every month. And they're in the port office at 12 noon, and they're available on Zoom as well. And our meetings, all of our activities are governed basically by two state regulations, laws, the open meeting and the public disclosure laws, and which includes not only the public meetings, but also the executive sessions, which are held usually following a public meeting, deal with real estate and personnel issues. No decisions, of course, are made during executive sessions, and those decisions are brought back to the public meeting. And if a vote is required, they're taken at that time. Thank you.
Thank you. Our final question is for 60 seconds. Our timer will change the timer. And it is this. Please tell us something about your life experience that might surprise or intrigue voters. Mr. Stiger.
Well, since District 2 includes half of Mukilteo, we have we have sort of a family connection there. My grandfather operated a shingle and shake mill in the area which is now Japanese Gulch. And I was also involved with the Snow Isle Skill Center that's administered by the Mukilteo School District. And so I had that relationship while I was as a vocational director in the Everett School District. And just a comment about the Ocean Gate situation. I might add that they have their main office in the port office, not too far. It's directly below us in the port building.
Thank you. Mr. Heaton.
Okay, I hope I interpreted this question correctly, because for me, I just took it as just talk about something that might surprise people.
Yeah.
One of my tours in the Coast Guard was 9 months in Japan. And as a really fantastic but tiring morale event, a group of us went and we climbed Mount Fuji. So that is maybe something that surprises people. I don't know. But other than Japanese, well, anyway, other than the group and obviously the other folks at climbing, that was my experience. I know people climb it all the time. There were a lot of people on that mountain. And it was pretty interesting. And I did learn to speak some Japanese. And that's pretty much it.
Thank you. So the League appreciates these candidates for joining us and for running for office. A recording of this forum and others will be available on the League of Women Voters of Snohomish County website and YouTube channel. Find the links at lwvsnoho.org. We encourage you to explore additional information about these and all candidates. The Snohomish County voter pamphlet will be mailed to residences starting July 12th. General election, or actually primary election ballots, will be mailed starting July 13th, and Election Day is August 1st. Please be a voter. Thank you to our League Candidate Forum team, and special thanks to Dave Moon and the Sultan School students at TurkPride.tv who made this live stream possible. And of course, thank you all for joining us. This concludes our candidate forum.